Okay, Leos, we're going to go right back into it, even though I cut off. Let's finish off your reading. So again, ending on new beginning, new, all of those things, super amazing, super fabulous. Again, like I said, it just has a lot to do with now that you have the trust that like, oh, it's a good life for me. There were good things in store, even with the ways that I, my own free will, could have like caused all the storms. I think you are at least getting the accountability that they were like things that only happened to you because you chose to create them. Not, I think that's kind of the hugest thing. I think for Leos, it's actually more important, like beyond the bullshit, it's actually better for you to know, because I think you always have to like drive the boat. You always have to be like the one doing the thing. And so I feel like it's actually like, I mean, I know this in my mom's case, like she really deserved this. Like I heard the exhaustion in her bones where it was just like, if Wanda takes a day off, am I gonna be good? Is the world gonna stop spinning? And I don't think for a long time, like with my mom, for example, just because she's a Leo rising, I'm using her as an example. I think for a long time, like it was everything fell on her shoulders because she was so exceptional. Like the storyline really just like took off with her. Like it really was just like, we're rolling. We're following your life because you're the exceptional one here. And so I think the weight that comes with like carrying the girls for so long does kind of bring this like destructive nature out of like Leos, where it's like, I'm thinking about like puppies and kittens and things like that, when there's just that kind of like rambunctious phase where they just want to know like, things are going to be like okay if they're not showing up perfectly. So I think at the end of the day though, like you were willing to do this because I think you also needed a reprieve from like having to be perfect, having to be like the main plot of everything, and everyone kind of following what and how your life like plays out. So I think it actually is like really deeply intimate to know that like at this time, even though it's coming through what appears to be like hardship or like nine swords, like headaches, nauseating experiences, spiritual initiations, it does also let you know that like one, it can be confirmed that like the things that happened to you this year that especially were like not favorable for you were things that you created. It wasn't exactly just like stuff the universe had for you, which is big, because I think that's like the difference between knowing like you're on a path that like isn't good or just like you are the one causing it. So it's really nice to know that it's like, yeah, some of this stuff is human error, and it's not that like God wanted like punishment for me or like negative things for me. So that's really huge. And then like again, this new beginning being brought to you is also coming in a very receptive nature. Aces are always coming from the hand of God. So it's also really nice to know that this new beginning, for once, I feel like isn't something you had to like create and conjure up. It's like a new beginning that comes, and all the things that come with it are a part of like somebody just listening to your secret prayers, your like wants and desires again. So this is going to give you even more reason to honor your creator, because you are being gifted this very new beginning that you didn't have to do any like masculine labor to create. It kind of is something you received from the void space, and it kind of has all these beautiful new things that you really want. And so it really allows you, one, to go forward very much like, I think the creator, I want you to know that the creator hears that you're like, no, I promise I'm not going to be doing the disobedient anything anymore, because I think it really does change your life, that this is extended to you still. It's like with you, Leo, I think it's just like, oh, like curiosity definitely killed the cat 9 times. Like it looks like you definitely like used up all 9 of your lives, and then for God to still give you like a 10th life after that, after like continually like curiosity, like, oh, I'm curious, like I want to know if that toxic path is toxic. And it's like, yeah, well, it's toxic. It's like it comes back as like, yep. But it helped you really like, again, come back online with your intuition, which I think in the end was the reason why you struggled so much with self-discipline and free will. It's like, there was kind of like the wounding around like your own ability to like listen to the voice of God. I don't think that, you know what song I would really suggest to you? Little Voice, Hilary Duff. Go study what she says. There's a lot of prophecy there, but it was like the first song that I feel like taught my inner child about like what Lizzie McGuire taught me about intuition in general, like the show. I was a big stan. We loved that for Hilary, but it was definitely like an air sign classic where it was just like the little caricature Lizzie was essentially her intuitive higher self throughout everything. And she was also way more integrated with her shadow than like Lizzie ever let herself be. And it was just really cool to kind of have this like immortalized character that just showed that like Lizzie was definitely like a preteen, 7th grader, 8th grader, high schooler, but little Lizzie is like ageless, but is like somehow much more like looking out for like Hillary as she goes through life. And that show was just genius for how it showed kids that like there's your own internal dialogue that matters more than what anybody else says. And a lot of times it's very Libra in nature, where she's like in her head, like, should I put this outfit on? Like, should I talk to Gordon? Like, what should I do? Like, what should I do? But it's like, either way, it's like, it was nice to know that for kids, like you could see programming that was like your own opinion of yourself is the most important thing, and your own guidance is the guidance that you should seek out like the most. And so the only time that you can be non-self-disciplined is like when there are other sources at the center of what you should do. So I think you really learn the lesson of, you know, the will that we apply based on like what other people suggest, what other people do. Again, Leo, very cool. You're like in the recent past, like I said, you were pretty much ready. I think like the whole point was like, okay, we're about to like initiate you through your spiritual truth so that like you can fulfill this prophecy. Because I think it was just about knowing. I think, Leo, you've always had good things attracted to you. You've always had, you know, Leo's definitely going to be the placement where it's like everybody's good with you, everybody fucks with your vibe. It's like you're not, there's nothing, it's like the sun, you know, there's people can genuinely always see why they might need a Leo in a situation, but that can also make you not feel like the things that you have are very specific. So I also see like a big part of the like acting out in the disobedience was just like, you know, you don't want to always have partners where it's like you don't feel that divine sacredness where it's like this was made for me. Like I think you always get decent people, you always get decent friends, but maybe they don't always feel really like specific or tied to like your spiritual nature at all. And so people might look at you and be like, oh, you've got all this. And so I almost see like what I'm looking at is like you kind of were like initiating, like you were sending all these people into the fire because you want things to get way more specific. Like you were putting your friend groups, your family, everyone, because you really want people to like really know they want Leo. Like even if you're a parent, right? Like I think about with my mom, like she really had to send all, and I didn't get mad at her. I was like, I get it. You're going through your, I mean, feminine rising, right? So she was a lot of rage, a lot of things that were going on. Just like, you know, can't be a part of every single step of everybody's walk. My mom has like kept me on her teeth the entirety of her since 97. So I was like, girl, it's all good. You need space from me, that's cool. But I do think that the biggest point of that is like, you know, it was kind of about her being like, you know what, because y'all all get so much from me and so much value from just being around like who I am, I do want to put some of y'all through, you know, some of these sort of initiations that like maybe subconsciously that's what you're doing, just to make sure that it's like, you know, like when, because, you know, you'll shake off the loose connections when they aren't really willing to put in that, like I said, if you're going through a toxic era and they, you know, and they don't really make it through, or they don't really still see you for you, or they, you know, whatever, then you knew that it's because everything you were doing was just about like, well, let's just get really into it. And I respect that about a Leo. Like a Leo is going to be the type of frequency that's like, I want to just try this. You don't have that shame that so many people walk with. So it's like you're kind of, this was a little bit of a shameless year, but it was also helping you transcend like collective shame, like to not feel super guilty about being human. Even if you're making a mistake, I think, Leo, you really learned this, like I'm allowed to make mistakes. It doesn't matter if I'm a role model to people or people choose to look up to me, like I'm still a person. So I think you really let yourself be superhuman, which I really support, I really love. And like I said, I'm never worried about you. I always will just let you know, like in terms of like making actual decisions, you just want to have all the information you want to have. So that maybe if you don't want to experience a certain experience, emotion, feeling, whatever, blah, 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 you don't have to, so that you don't have to, you know, nothing is forced. You're not a victim to anything. So yeah, crowning. This was the thing. It was like the year of temptation for you. You have truly as payment for overcoming your year of temptation, you get this crazy, karmically just, beautiful new beginning that you really deserve. Because again, it's like after constantly like being like baited out, like, you know, this is like, this is the Leo that's like, you know, I'm committing to my higher path, but they keep sending me nudes, or, you know, my past keeps like knocking on my door. It's like stuff like that, you know, and you got tempted with it. And whether you drank from the cup or took a sip or tried it or whatever, it doesn't matter, because it's like, what you're realizing is that it's all about you. Like if you're really trying to overcome a temptation or a negative cycle or a habit or a loop or a pattern, like it's going to be you who's going to have to get into that and really kick the can, like kick the habit. Like, you know what I mean? Like if you're really trying to quit smoking cigarettes or something, for example, like, you know, your nicotine addiction, like you really do have to just like deal with what the realities of it are. So, you know, it's not, I think this is about also like your healing being deeper than surface level. Like, oh, I'm good. No, you don't have to be good. Like there's complex trauma that's underneath all this, you know, some of these tests, some of these people that are actually just like what I think you're realizing now is like, ooh, that demonic partner that I attracted all year, like have been dealing with, is actually like deeply connected to some of my deepest, darkest, deeply seated like traumatic experiences. And you wouldn't have known that because you were too busy being Leo on the surface of pretty much everything. Your healing, your joy, your vitality, everything's on the surface. So all of this is like, this new beginning was there. It was just like way deeper. It's just, and I get that. It's like, I think too, there's no surprise. I feel like because the High Priestess is crossing here, is like, I think you knew that this was your new beginning. I think you knew that, but I don't think you understood how deep it really goes. And I feel like maybe you came across this High Priestess frequency in yourself. and you thought it was going to be way lighter because you thought, like, I'm used to, like, again, you're used to the kind of karmic baiting. You're used to, like, you know, like, again, with the cat, if you dangle their little cat toy, they're just gonna, like, and so I feel like that's what you were doing all 2025. It was like anybody could dangle something in front of you. It's like, you were ready to, like, swat at that. And this, it was, like, kind of, like, healing that attention deficit where it's, like, don't get baited out every time, like, somebody, like, dangles something new. But also, I think this is always a good thing. This priestess in your life is never going to show up toxic. They were never going to do that. I think the biggest reason that maybe you were, like, disconnecting or not, like, consistent with it is because I don't think you realized that it was just something that's way deeper than you maybe are even comfortable with. So I feel like this was the before you could accept this as your fate, you had to get way deeper. So all of those initiations this year were just to make you a deeper person so that when you get this, it feels way like, it feels like something you're really supposed to have. Of course. I knew it. So like I said, and this is another thing that I feel like I was going through recently, which is, like, there are a lot of days too where, like, sometimes, like, what appears to be negative or, like, a very, like, I would like to call it, like, a Saturnian experience where it's like you're just putting in work where there's not, like, a payout for it. Anytime you're in a situation where something's, like, absurdly difficult, this is, like, what retrogrades can teach you. Like, when things break down or, you know, they don't go as planned or there are hiccups in the road, something that you can truly do to, like, navigate that is really think about how, like, these events clear space. So right before something really great happens, a lot of times you'll find, like, for example, it's like wedding days. There's always, like, karmically, I feel like when you know you're really supposed to be married and it's really the day that you were supposed to have that happen, there's always going to be these insane, like, little, like, 9 of swords. Like, what? Especially if it's an experience that's supposed to, like, change your life. Like, if it's an experience like 10 of Cups, it's, like, going to really fill you up. So I think 2025, you will look back and it's actually funny because you're going to, like, really be grateful for this year in a lot of ways because it was nothing but darkness it's looking like. But it's, like, it's the darkness that actually, because, like, again, it's like if you're about to eat a really good meal, like if you're going to do a Thanksgiving meal, for example, and you know, it's just a big meal, hella calories, the best thing to do is be really hungry, right? You don't want to have, like, eaten, like, McDonald's and fucking Dunkin' Donuts before you go have Thanksgiving. You probably want to be on E because you know you're about to fill up. It's just going to make the meal that much more satisfactory. This is, like, that clean, like, this is, like, the fast before how satisfactory the experience really is about to get for you. So this new beginning is, like, it was always going to be, because, again, you know, you're getting a high priestess, which is someone who knew they were always supposed to be connected to you. Like, it's like, it's always, it goes back like a wave cap type thing, but it's like, it's also the type of frequency where it's like, it's so much deeper. So I think a lot of times you thought, like, God was, like, nabbing some carrot you couldn't get all year, and you were getting, like, frustrated and mad, and you're like, oh, I guess it doesn't fucking mean it's for me. And after going back and forth with, like, is this high priestess for me or is it not? The whole point is, like, of course it's for you. You don't have the depth yet. You have to understand how much this thing is going to bring to you. You have to understand how much, like, you're about to get from having this included in your life. And once you, like, actually understand that, that's when you actually can savor it, because it's just going to bring you a lot more. I think, you know, maybe you just want to see companionship, but this thing isn't just going to bring you companionship. It's going to fill you. So again, so some of these things need to be, like, checked in with, emptied out, cleared out, so that when this connection inevitably fills you all the way up, you actually know, you know, it's like almost like your tank needs to be all the way on E to really know the value of a full tank and, like, how long you can drive when you fill the tank all the way up. Exactly. And I feel like that's what I'm saying. The current disposition right now is the 7 of Swords. So again, looking at, you're probably, like, again, December is, like, holding all the places where, you know, you'd be stealing from yourself, right? Because in the end, I think for you, it's very sobering. You created a lot of experiences this year where you were stealing with yourself. The catch-22 for that is, it's, like, great because it's God's plan in the end. It's like, well, Leo, it's never going to be down for you. You have Leo placements. Like, you're the central sun of the universe. So it's not going to be a bad thing. It's not going to, you're always going to have a creative new beginning coming for you. So even what you're learning now is you can trust God. Even if you make mistakes, even if you have to repeat a cycle, it's all good because God actually, everything gets reused. Everything gets, like, reharvested. There's no actual, like, oh, that was a waste of my time and space and energy and whatever. So that's amazing. These colors are so stuck together, but this is so beautiful because it was literally, again, Metamorphosis, a great album for you guys to revisit because you guys were going through a metamorphosis. And once you come through the entirety of the death and transformation process, you go straight into the 4 of Wands. Yeah, you go straight into the 4 of Wands. You're in union. This death is, like, specific. It did lead somewhere. I think too, like I said, it was so much of just, like, it kind of probably felt like for you, like, you're the type of person who's like, no, I don't want to drink tonight. I don't want to drink tonight. And then people keep passing you shots. Like, that's how I see you guys in the ether this year, where it's like, oh, dang, I wasn't even trying to take 10 shots, but I took 10 shots, you know, type of frequency. And, you know, and again, it whatever it caused. But again, this is what I'm saying. It was about you received a lot of judgment for your Knight of Wands, because this is about maturation. Spirit really wants you, Leo, to get to King of the Jungle. So it comes though from like, Sherman, Dennis and I were talking about the Lion King, but like little Simba, like, there's a lot of disobedience, and there's a lot of parts where he, when he's really young and he's like looking at Mufasa and he's like, I'm supposed to become like you, like, you're just in your journey, and you're becoming, you're on your way to that. But some of that rambunctious tendency, some of the times where Rafiki's like, Simba, you know what I mean? Like, you need to pay attention. Like, that's kind of like the year you were having, where it was like, okay, I'm figuring it out. I'm understanding that, some of the harsh judgments that I get for not like, walking the path, like creating what needs to be created instead of just creating whatever. The only reason God was so harsh, the only reason there was so much judgment on every mistake you made this year, was just because you're meant to be a king. It's like not even because of like anything negative. I love this. And the best news that I have for you, the biggest gift that I can give you, is December is coming with a big equal give and take. So also the thing is like, you're on God's side, you're God's child, you're on God's team, Leo. So it looks like there was a lot of Three of Swords. There was a lot of attacks, truly. Like anything that someone manipulated, anytime when someone was like a negative influence on you, just know they attacked you on purpose. Like, just know they knew that they were baiting you out. So because that's what it was, because a lot of these things that like you got caught up in it wasn't even that you were just being overtly toxic. You were being targeted by certain entities and frequencies. There's a huge equal payout given to you just for having to endure that, which is great. I'm really glad that that's the situation for you, because I think it will also let you know that God has your back, like you're God's property. And like some of these people, like they know how bright your future is. Like, I think, again, some of these people wanted to really get you caught up because they know who's for you. They know that your destiny has nothing to do with them. They knew that if they could get in here and get you sloshed up, or get you just vacillating on like the play of it all, and if they could get you, like I said, like this is Leo also, like sometimes you got to shake off, like sometimes Leo, like you also don't want to stay in like friend land. Like you do want to get more like specific. Like, I was kind of talking to Dennis about this. It's like, some of you guys, it's like, you don't want to just like have like a certain point in your life. It's like some of you like should have gone to college, because like I see a lot of grown-ups who like are still like, they got baby mamas and stuff, but they're like still just trying to kick it with their buddies. And I'm not trying to be anti like friends, but it's like, you have to also understand a friend isn't like more indebted to you than they are. So you just want to make sure you're also moving past friend land and like getting some business. So a lot of Leos deflect that, like they're in partnerships with people that aren't aligned to them, but then they just keep this friend group that keeps them like preoccupied or like in the whatever, not moving forward. And then you kind of do the thing where it's like you're expecting too much of people who are just like friends to you, right? Like it's like it's like if someone's about to die, even if they're like your friend, like it's like, you do need to know like who's, because you have to believe that God has like the family that you're supposed to be a part of. So there's a lot of maturation, I think, that's coming. But again, I think it's really great because for every single heartbreak that you like face this year, I do want you to know that it was actually like masterfully orchestrated. Like someone was manipulating a situation in order to break your heart and put you in the situation.